In my last podcast, I discussed the idea that time and space are artifacts, that divine hierarchy has moved on and is no longer constrained by the material world, bounded by either time or space. And that makes a lot of sense to me. It's as part of my meditations and part of my experience as a young man coming to grips with exactly what it was that happened to me. And I think that's a way to understand my meditations. It is then a continuing exploration of my own experiences, that the subject of my meditations are the things that have happened to me. What do they mean? What do they portend for the future? What shall I learn from those things? How will I behave in the future? What's my understanding? And so my understanding is that time and space are no longer places for investigation. What I'm talking about is that if the material world does not exist as we think that it does, what is it that's there? In my understanding, my conclusion is presence. That is what I experienced as a young boy being visited by my angel. It was the presence of the angel, the experience of presence. And it can be understood also in another way, and that is that we are light. We are children of light. That was the thing that I also experienced, was a sense of lightness, not of weightlessness, but of being enveloped by light, a different kind of light, not a visual light, but a psychic light that enveloped me, and I could feel it. And it made me very happy. I was very joyful. I was joyful in the presence of a psychic light that was a presence in and of itself. So it was not part, my experience was not part of a physical reality that occurred in space and time. And the more that I have meditated on this, the more that it makes sense that the divine hierarchy has moved on, that the cosmos is expanding and growing, and our ability to be constrained by the dimensions of the cosmos no longer seems to apply. That's just not what's happening. It is about presence. It is about the presence of the beings of the divine hierarchy who collectively represent what I would call the God of our time. So it's not even easy to say it that way. The God of our time, well, that doesn't sound very good, really. But how else can you express it? And it is in the context of presence. So it's an awkward expression, but it does begin to open up the door for further meditation, a meditation on presence. And what does that mean? And how do we respond to that presence? And how do we expand our own presence? And that is, of course, by obedience, by paying attention to our calling. And in that, there is an expansion of our own presence as we participate more fully in the expansion of the cosmos as beings of light, the psychic power of light. And that is what brings me joy. That is what I like to think about. That is what I want to meditate on more and more. You know, the old gods have gone. They're not around. I have a friend of a friend in Dallas who's been captivated by spells, by Wicca. And I was listening to some conversation about this person, and I realized that their endeavor is a reflection of a wonderment of what you would find in a museum. And you would go and look at all the treasures of past civilizations and people. And you would marvel at them displayed as they were. And that's what I think is happening here, that this person is marveling at the contents of a museum, but no longer real. The power that was there is gone. There is no longer any primal connection that comes through such things as spells or incantations. The universe has moved on. And those things are memories. They are museum pieces that hold our imagination, or the imagination of some, but they are really without substance. They are without presence. So our presence is something that's really important to kind of pay attention to. It's been talked about. We have a foreshadowing of it as we begin to understand things like our resurrection body, or our subtle body, or etheric bodies. These are words that, have their own unique definitions. They are worthy of meditation, but they give a clue. They are inklings as to what it is that's going to be understood more fully as our presence in the cosmos. So we are moving slowly. I don't think it's happened in one fell swoop, like poof, we're no longer material. But there's a change, an evolution, a moving forward where our subtle body begins to emerge, our resurrection body begins to be revealed. As we come closer to finding our calling and being obedient to our calling, and staying with that, to be part of the unfolding cosmos, and the joy that that brings as being part of the presence of all beings who seek the will of the divine hierarchy. Amen.